Ever look at your home?
All right, this is not our usual traditional opening, but this is how we're opening because tonight's stream is a little bit different. So, all right. We have my co-writer Adrian coming in now. Hey, Adrian, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Long time no talk.
Just a little bit.
I know it's just been what, like 2 years, 3? Well, you know,
2.5, 3. A while. It's been a while.
something like that.
Something like that.
All right. So in case you don't know, we're live right now. So there's some people watching.
Hi.
So I'm going to, you know what? There's a little chat on the sidebar here. I'm going to send you a link to the stream because just in case anybody in chat has a question for you at some point.
Okay.
That way you can kind of, you know.
Be sociable?
Yes, that's the word. Hold on here. Let me just, there we go. And there you go. So that's the link to the stream directly. All right, so let me just, we're going to give people a couple of minutes to file in because I started my stream a little bit unconventionally. Usually people kind of used to me playing some music and starting soon type thing, and I just kind of popped on. So we're going to give some people a couple of minutes to file in. But in the meantime, what have you been up to? Like, what kind of stuff have you worked on since we last worked together?
Oh, hell. Everything.
All right, I think the more interesting question is, was there anything dreadful? Because I remember the first time we worked together, you said some of your other projects were like you had a lot of like love novels and stuff like that, like romance novels.
So I'm back to romance, but it's all paranormal, so it's demons and vampires and shifters and witches, so it's exciting.
Well,
Romance. It's not ho humming. Oh, I think I love her. Oh, I think I love him. Oh, but I don't know. It's
Okay.
It's good stuff.
So nothing Twilight-ish?
Oh God, no. No. Just still, I do paranormal series that aren't erotica romance, and then I have ones that are, and then I am working on my own stuff again, so that's been nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. How's that going?
I tore apart a 90,000 word story.
Oh,
and,
Jesus.
Now it's up to 140,000 words.
Oh my, you have been
good.
busy. You have been busy. All right, so to get some of you guys in chat up to speed, Adrian is basically she basically takes the mess that I give her of my story and structures it and makes it cohesive. And then she also adds a little flavor because there's some elements of the first book that have Adrian's signature on it. For example, there was a town in the first book that you created, which was very good. And even a character there that you created. You created the bartender there. He was kind of like the headmaster of the town. And so we get the first time we worked on the first book, it was a lot of fun. I think for her it was good because she actually enjoyed the story, so it was kind of like, it's like a win-win. So you were working on something that you were enjoying, and basically the way it works is it's essentially overall my story, but I don't know how to write. That's what it comes. I think I've told you guys, I just don't know. Like, I know how to write, I know English, but in terms of how to write a story with structure and technicality, I have absolutely zero skill.
What?
And
That's not true.
that's very true. Come on, I know you've seen my notes. Let's not get crazy. So, so Adrian, so the first book would not have been as good as it was without Adrian's excellent writing skills in terms of taking my mess and making it look like something very more than decent. So and because she enjoys the story and because this is a genre she likes, it kind of works out because she puts her heart into it, and she did a great job with the first book. I'm sure you guys. Well, oh, there she is in chat. Look at that. And and yeah, and for those of you guys who read it, you guys and enjoyed it, this is my co-writer, is my writing partner. So I'm glad some of you guys get to kind of see what we're gonna do as we prepare for the second book. And there will be no crazy spoilers. I will, and whatever you do here, there's no guarantee it's gonna be in the book like 6 months from now. You know,
we know how that goes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think towards the end I was harassing you quite a bit. Like, can we change this? Can we do that? And even still, we ended up adding a chapter. Like at the very end, we added a whole chapter.
Oh yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, we added a whole chapter, and that version of the book I put back on Amazon in earlier this year, back in I think May, April or May, when I put it back out, and that's when it really did well, much better than it did the first time. And now people have been asking, when are you going to start working on it? And we kind of been missing each other. You know, like I'd reach out to you, you'd be like, oh, I'm working on a project. How about this month?
I mean, it's been a little crazy because you moved, I moved,
yes.
And then, pandemic, and then just stuff, lots of stuff. So I'm glad you liked the book, Aldefonica, and I'm glad you're here. So, all right, so we're gonna get started. So you went over my notes. Did.
So we're gonna. So basically, I know they're kind of. I kind of was doing that. We had a very dead day at work, and I was like, man, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to have a minute before the stream to sit down with you. So let me just hand you at least the early portion, and I do. Adrian does know the whole story for the most part. When I tell, like, she doesn't know this whole story, but she knows a good portion of it because there's certain elements that she needs to know in the early part to set up for. You know what I mean? Like, if I just give her like what would be the first 2 or 3 chapters, it'd be very different if she didn't know what happens down the road. Versus
that changes everything. It's like knowing the backstory versus not knowing the backstory. That's how you drop all those lovely, delicious tidbits and hints and
absolutely
fun stuff.
Yeah. So for those of you who did read the book, you know the character Draven. He is an elvish vampire, and he is actually infected with the blight, which you guys know about the blight in the first. If you read the first book, so this is his tale. And this is what happened from the moment he got infected up to the events we're going to leave off at the end of the book. I'm not going to give any spoilers away there. But so me and Adrian are going to sit here. You're going to see kind of how we work, how we discuss things. We're going to go over some ideas. We're going to dodge some because there's some notes I gave her that we're not going to discuss tonight. In particular, the one regarding the shield. I'll just say that.
I already know. I already know. See?
Yeah, so... And but pretty much everything else we're going to talk about, and pretty much we're going to discuss the early part of the book. We're going to be me and Adrian work. She kind of works with me in 10,000 word intervals, which is roughly could be 2 to 3 chapters, I think, right?
It kind of depends on whatever you want, honestly. Because I'm going to be real. One of my chapters in my book is 10,000 words long. So it kind of depends on what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, so. We were discussing this earlier. We're gonna get into this, so don't feel like I'm ignoring you. We're gonna get to questions later if you guys have any. So like I was talking to you earlier, the first portion of the book is gonna center around Draven and Arthur. Arthur is basically, like I explained to you in the notes, he is pretty much a hermit, lives on a hut off the beach. I should have pulled up the map. Do you have a copy of the map on you, or do you need another one?
Oh, the map. I think I vaguely remember the map.
Okay, so you remember that beach where Kaylin and Joran and the crew were stranded?
Yeah, on the west.
Right, on the west side of
Yep.
Unity. So northern region is where his hut is.
Okay.
And we're gonna
Further
find he's gonna find Draven off the coast of that region. So Draven basically we're gonna be opening up the story with him waking up underwater. He's going to be as dead as you can be, but of course he's not dead because he's a vampire. He's undead, but he's bloated. His skin is rotted. He just looks like an abomination. So the way he ends up, the way I was gonna do this was, based on how I spoke to you about the original scene I wanted to do was opening up with the war, showing how he ended up where he ended up. But I wanted to avoid that because I don't want to start 2 straight books with 2 wars.
Yeah, I mean it gets a little
Redundant, yeah.
yeah, and I think it'll be more intriguing if you've got a character who's waking up and then passing out again, then waking up and then having flashbacks of the fight.
Right, exactly. So he's going to be underwater, and the way he's being able to remain submerged is there's a big boulder on him. So now it's just where I'm kind of stuck is how do I get the boulder off of him? Is there a heavy current? Does he able to get it off of himself by waking up? That's a possibility. But then again, considering he's bloated and rotted, I don't know if that's
how long is he underwater? Because I know you mentioned it was a while.
a long time.
Like
a long
like are we
time.
talking like years?
You would think I would remember my first book back and forth, considering I read it about 40 times. So I'm trying to remember the years that went by since the war. And
that's why I have timelines for everything on my walls.
Yo, see, I can't write on my walls, so I don't have walls. I mean, I have walls to write on, but I probably should have done that. I'm gonna say well over 100 years, easy. It might even be longer.
So he's been under that. Okay.
Yeah, because so as you know, when we spoke about it originally, when I was talking about showing the first part of the war, there was it was like kind of like an explosion when they were in the Citadel, and this was during the when the Elven City was being sieged by the undead. And he got infected. He stopped to save somebody, I think it was, and he got infected. And then there was a huge explosion that launched him into the ocean, and all the rubble from the explosion, that's how the rock ended up on him.
Landed on top of him.
Right. And then he's just been stuck there.
If we're talking about 100 years underwater, I mean, stuff's going to move, currents are going to shift. So I think eventually it would probably just shift its way off of him enough. And if he's bloated, I mean, he's gonna float, right?
Yeah, I could also just make it so that he doesn't wake up at all. The rock just releases,
Moves,
and that's how
and
he
he
ends up getting to the surface.
Washes up on the beach
Yeah, and then
in a pile of seaweed.
oof, it's gonna look ugly.
It's gonna be gross.
It's gonna be grotesque. I'm talking like, you ever seen The Walking Dead when they found that walker in the well?
Dude, you know I hate zombies.
Oh, okay, never
I
mind.
hate zombies. They terrify. This is the only thing that terrifies me. Are
All right, good.
zombies.
So use that as inspiration. Use that as inspiration for how he's gonna look.
So we're talking about like saggy, peely.
Oh yeah, like
skin
little
and-
patches of skin are just saggy. He's bloated. He looks like he's like 600 pounds. I mean, he's
Oh,
been under
that's-
the water a long time. He's gonna be bloated.
Oh God, I don't want to write that scene. You owe me for writing this scene. I'm gonna like.
Hey, I'm paying you. You have to.
I'm just gonna write it drunk, and then it'll be fine.
Okay, we'll see about that. All right. So now the way that Arthur can tell, first of all, Arthur, because he finds him on the beach, the reason he even approaches him is because he's never seen anything like that wash ashore. And it's when he goes to investigate, because remember, he's also an alchemist. It's minor magic. So he's going to see if he can find a way to harvest something that he might use for alchemy. And that's kind of when he discovers that Draven is alive.
I live.
Yeah, and he kind of comes back with it because he's like full of water, so he comes back with like a cart, and very very difficultly manages to get him on like this flat thing that he just uses the cart to drag him. You could say that we can add a horse to that because he's not going to do it himself. So we'll
just
just
gonna
say,
call it a flat thing.
yeah, we'll just call it a flat thingy. He basically pulls up with a flatbed truck. We'll just throw that in there.
I mean, right?
Yeah, he
It's
just
fantasy.
summons it.
Truck. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can have a cart or a wagon.
Yeah, and we can have it like he has a horse to pull it, because he still has to. He's an old man, so he's got to get around on a horse. He can't be walking everywhere.
No.
So when he brings him back to the hut, and he literally begins to use some of his alchemy tools to drain the water. Because he knows at this point that this guy's undead. All right, he's alive. So I know for a fact now that he's undead because there's no way somebody that's not undead is going to survive this. So knowing that he's undead, his sheer curiosity and his love for alchemy probably goes against his better judgment to just probably leave it on the beach and act like you never seen it. So I want to say takes him, I don't know, a day or two to drain him fully.
Cool.
Yeah, and it's just he's like buckets of like rotten water that he just it's gonna be gross. It's gonna be gross.
Stink too.
Oh, it's gonna be so stinky. Oh, think about the worst stink you've ever smelled, and then triple that, and then write about it.
Stinks like I can't say that on here. Stinks really bad.
No, you can say if you want to say stinks like shit. That's fine. We curse on the stream.
Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure because I've been holding myself back, but now that I know.
Yeah.
So. Do you wanna open? You wanna open from Draven's POV in a matter of speaking, and then swap to Arthur, or do you want it to be? Like, obviously, Draven's not awake or coherent, but start with him washing up, or you want to start with Arthur finding him?
I was wondering, see, this is where I was kind of juggling, because part of me was like, maybe I should open up with Draven narrating his tale.
Oh, that would be fun.
I think
let's do that.
I think that might be a good idea. To have him narrate his tale. Because remember, I told you, I'm not going to say it on stream, but you know where this is going to end. Mm-hmm. So I think there might be some good. It might be a good choice to make him maybe not the whole story, but at least the opening, because there's really no, at least up until the point where Arthur finds him. So that way there's some sort of understanding of what's happening here.
Do you want? Since his story is kind of different than the last one we did, since it's more, I won't say it's more narrative, but it's more, there's a different feel to it. I can't think of how to explain. Do you want to do like certain small chunks throughout that are narrated by him?
Yeah, I think that would be good. I think it would be because this one, I think what made the first one good is that since Kaylin started off so young, the idea of her narrating
was weird. Well, and she's also an oh my gosh, unreliable narrator.
Not only that, but Joran was just as much a main character as she was, where this one is more centric around Draven. Like, obviously there's important characters that play important roles, but not to the level that Joran played for Kaylin.
Yeah. Do you want it first? My God, I can't talk tonight. Do you want it present tense, or do you want these in past tense while he's narrating?
Well, considering I think it would probably be better at present tense.
Okay. I would think so too, since he's kind of, it's more of a narration, not he's telling the story, but he's telling it
at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's because it's not like we start off with him and then he says, back years ago I was found. You know what I mean? Like, it's not showing him first and then clouding back to the past. Yeah. We're starting right at that moment. So I think him narrating the moment is probably more appropriate.
So that first narration, then do you want him to be kind of doing like a somber monologue, sitting at the bottom of the ocean staring
Yeah.
up at the waves?
Yeah, I'm
like,
just
this
sitting down
sucks.
here getting wet like a motherfucker. No, so something along like so for my dialogue, I was thinking where he's narrating, he's talking about um he briefly, without too much detail, talks about losing his home, losing his brothers and sisters, the elves, because as far as he knows, the war is lost.
That's true
Because
because
the
he
last thing
doesn't
he saw
know
was getting infected and blowing up, so he has no idea.
what happened.
Right. So, you know, I think him starting off in a very, this is the end of the elves. I find myself. I was gonna say in a trench, but no.
I mean, he
I
could be in a trench in the
yeah. I
ocean.
mean, he's definitely. I mean, it's kind of it's so funny because I'm better at direct dialogue than I am at narration. I can come up with certain lines. Like I like the brief dialogue I gave you for him and the other person, which when I was reading, I was like, yeah, this is good. This is going to be good stuff. Definitely when he
Good
gets to that
shit.
point. Yeah, that little back and forth is going to be great. So I think him narrating about starting off with like, we never something along the lines of we never saw this war coming. We were never prepared, and just in a moment, everything was gone, and I'm dead, or so I thought. Something along those lines, and as that narration's happening, we can give description to him being at the bottom of the ocean, the rock finally lifting off, him not waking up, but
He could
floating
just
to
kind of open his eyes and realizes the current's taking him, and maybe he finally thinks, "Hey, I finally died, and I'm just
yeah, and
drifting
yeah,
off."
like he briefly comes to, but he's not really coherent, and he kind of just washes ashore, and then we get to Arthur. Now, Arthur, while very smart, wise, he's also a bit quirky. So I definitely am. I picture him finding him and saying some pretty funny like self dialogue, like, "Oh, where did your pudgy self come from?" Something along those lines. Like he's a bit quirky.
Where did your I have to type that up. Hold on.
Yeah, where did your
Pudgy
chubby
self
self
come
come from? Yeah, something along. Yeah, you can modify it, but I
Oh no, I'm
definitely
keeping
want
that.
I definitely want a little bit lightheartedness within this grotesque moment. It seems inappropriate, but I think it'll work because it's part of his character. Um, I'm just looking at the comments now. This grotesque stench of bloated, decaying corpse that filled my nostrils was a blend of bowel movements left in the light of day, a potent sulfur, and a moldy cabin after water damage. How's that? What's that for, JC? You talking about Arthur's dialogue? Couldn't think of anything that smells all that much apart from the dead body. Yeah. So we got we got JC in chat giving in some tips. So I appreciate that. So yeah, definitely want him kind of because he's a hermit. Hermit, after being alone for so long, they talk to themselves. That's
So
well known.
he's a little on the
He's a little on the edge. He's a
crazy
little
side.
spicy. Yeah.
Crazy side, talks to himself.
Think about who's that character from The Hobbit that had the bird shit on his head? I forget his name.
Radagast.
Yeah,
That's
he's
exactly who I was thinking about.
Yep. Think
Milk
about
some
him. Use him for
shrooms.
inspiration. Because he was an oddball, Radagast.
Yes.
You're so glad you ate right before this.
I did. I ate right before this. Now we're talking about bloated corpses and peeling skin, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So we obviously have bottom of the ocean, the narration, and it doesn't have to be long. Obviously, once he gets to shore, and Arthur finds him, it'll obviously converge over to Arthur's dialogue, and takes him back to the hut, drains the water for a day. At that point, Draven starts to come to, but he can't move. He can't. all he knows is that he's extraordinary. This is where some of the vampire stuff kicks in. So he's got like a insane thirst, and through examination, Arthur discovers that he is a vampire. Like when he was out, as he was draining the water, as the bloating was settling, he was examining him, looking at his mouth, his teeth. He noticed that there was no damage to his infrastructure, so to speak, like his bones and all that. And looking at his mouth, he saw the fangs. So right there, he knows this guy's a vampire. But he is not afraid. He's not afraid. Because he is kind of like a scientist. You have something like this, you want to study it, you want to answer your curiosities. So he doesn't tell Draven that he's a vampire. He feeds him blood, unbeknownst to Draven. He tells Draven
this red substance.
Yeah, he tells him it's a concoction to help him heal. And Draven loves it, obviously. So, and that's kind of how the first few days go. You know, he asks Draven questions like, what does he last remember? Has he always been like this? Even though he knows it's blight. That's the only thing that can turn anyone into a vampire. So if you guys read the first book, you know that the blight can pretty much, when it affects someone, it randomly turns them into any kind of undead. Turning into a vampire is kind of like winning the lottery in that. That's probably the best you could hope for, because you don't look grotesque. You can regenerate. You just can't be out in the sun. You have to suck on people's blood. But what we learn with regards to Draven, and we've spoken about this, this is that his powers and his weaknesses work a little bit differently from humans. So in other words, he also can't be out in the sun, but he can be out in the sun a lot longer. So he doesn't just instantly combust. He will slowly burn. So like if he's standing out in the sun, you'll start to see little smoke coming up from his skin. Something, that's an example of how he differs, because he's an elf. His anatomy works differently. There's a certain sense of enchantment to elves, almost like a magical protection. So, while in the hut, obviously Draven is going to be trying to regain his strength. He regains his strength rapidly, drinking the blood. What was I going to say? Arthur gets the blood from local animals. He's not killing people. I just want to make that very clear.
Aw, ruin my fun.
Yeah, no, he's not evil like that. So once Draven is strong enough, I would say after about 3 or 4 days, between the blood, the draining, and his regeneration abilities as a vampire, he pretty much comes back pretty swiftly. I would say 5 days roughly he comes back. And he's able to talk, and he starts to question Arthur. Now, this is like what I explained to you in the notes, that Arthur is meant to be mysterious. His knowledge is excessive to the point where some of the details and some of the things he can speak about, he shouldn't really know as a human. So, for example, the war. This is where Draven starts to ask him, do you know what happened? Because remember, Draven also is not aware at this point of exactly when in time he is. He doesn't know that he's been down there for endless years. So initially when Arthur's telling him about the results of the war, he is taking this in as this is recent news. Also, one thing I want to note is when Arthur tells him that the humans saved the dwarves and the elves and they now all live together in some sort of harmony, this is where he kind of realizes, wait a minute, they did that quickly. But also, initially, he's a little bit disgusted that humans and elves live and share together. Because remember, during his time, if you remember from the first story, elves and dwarves wanted nothing to do with humans. They wanted to be on their line, be left alone. They didn't trade with them, nothing. That's how this whole war started. Remember, once there was a relationship built between the elves and the dwarves and the humans, trade between them became more robust, and this started taking away from the barbarians, and that's what started the whole thing. So I want to make sure you take that note, that when he learns about the war, when he learns that the dwarves and the elves have taken home with the humans, he's puzzled at first because it doesn't sound like a victory, but it also doesn't sound like a defeat. So he kind of realizes that everybody escaped, but what he's questioning is, well, how quickly did this happen? And this is when Arthur tells him how much time has passed. We'll go back to the first book and look up so we can get the timeline right, but I know we have it. And this is when he starts to question Arthur, like, wait a minute, how old are you? Like, how do you know this in detail? Because there's certain things Arthur is going to tell him that he would have to be there to know. So that's some important dialogue between them two to kind of set the tone for where this is going. During this time, he also, definitely make it so that his reaction to elves and humans sharing land is just like he's completely repulsed, because he doesn't understand. Time has passed, and that kind of thing is not looked upon that way no more. So, yeah, so that should be an interesting reaction. What's going on, Tyler? Elf segregation. Well, it wasn't elf segregation. It was basically just that the humans lived on one land, the elves and the dwarves lived on another, and they just really never communicated. The elves and the dwarves didn't like the humans, and the humans never really made an attempt to reach out to them. However, if you read the first book, you learned that the reason the humans went and helped is because they knew if they didn't, it was only a matter of time before the blight spread over to them. So if nothing else, they at least stopped it, but unfortunately the land was lost, and that's why the elves and the dwarves migrated to the human land, and that's how they formed unity. They decided that it was time for them to come together. So for those of you who didn't read the book, the reason the kingdom's called Unity is because there's a kingdom dedicated to the dwarves, there's a kingdom dedicated to the elves, and then in the north there's a kingdom dedicated to the humans. But below and the south of all three of those kingdoms is a main kingdom called Unity, which everybody who wants to live there, no matter what your race is, can live there. And it's kind of like the stronghold protecting the three other kingdoms. So like if they were ever to get attacked again, this whatever enemies come through would have to breach the kingdom of Unity. And yeah, so what's up? Oh, did somebody say something?
No, I'm just giggling because, Unity, man.
Yeah, pointy ears lives matter.
Oh, boy.
These fools. All right, so Hut, conversation, history lesson.
Flashbacks?
We can do some flashbacks, absolutely.
You want just, like, very short snippets of just fighting and...
Yeah, so we still have to not at this point seen the main villain. I'm debating if I want to show him in a flashback or at least show a hint of him.
You could show him without telling who he is.
Right. Yeah, I definitely want to show like a hint of him. Something. So what I had in mind was Arthur talking about we'll refer to him as the evil wizard for now. Standing atop his stronghold, commanding the armies, and you can see him like controlling the blight, and you could see the guardians, the paladins, protecting people because they're really the only ones that have the ability to repel the undead. It's basic, the deal. It's like basic D&D rules. Turn the dead, So, you got a D&D game tomorrow night, don't you?
I do. And then I've got a new campaign starting in October. And then another one starting in October because I'm a psycho.
It's a fun game. What inspired you to make this book series? So, Mike, the story is actually very old. I started writing this when I was like 17 or 18. And I've had all this text and stories sitting around for all these years, and I decided that I needed to get it organized and put it out there and, give it an opportunity, basically share it with other people. It didn't really matter Doesn't really matter in the end what it becomes of it. With my luck, it'll become a huge hit after I'm dead. So, which is fine. I mean, that's the whole thing, right? You want, at least it leaves a legacy for my kids. But the main inspiration to make it a book was just to see what it would look like if I had the story put together in a cohesive and structured way, which is why Adrian's here. Because, like I said earlier, there's no way without going to back to school for writing and learning how to creatively write, like the technicality aspect of it, I suppose. Like, I can tell the story, but could I present it in a way where people can understand it? And probably not without the help of Adrian. So
You're welcome.
yeah, thank you.
I do my best.
You did excellent. So yeah, so definitely flashbacks. Very, very minimum though. Like
Yeah.
I don't want to. Like the war is important, but like I said,
I was thinking kind of not fever dreams. Obviously, he's not in a fever, but those moments when he's super thirsty and he's trying to like wake up and figure out who he is, and he keeps having like moments of being in battle, and then maybe he tries to attack Arthur, and Arthur has to like knock him out again because Draven thinks he's
almost
fighting.
almost like PTSD.
Yes.
Absolutely. We can
Very
do that.
short snippets.
So Arthur telling him about the history, getting him caught up, Draven with the revelation that he doesn't, the revelation that the war wasn't lost and that his people survived gives him hope. But this is quickly kind of diminished when Arthur finally does reveal, because Arthur knows he has to tell him the truth. Because if he doesn't tell him the truth, then he's afraid he's going to either kill Arthur or go out there and kill somebody else. And Arthur, at this point, knowing that he was an elf or is an elf, and knowing that he fought against the Blight, he knows that he's good. In his heart of hearts, he's good. He just has the Blight, and he's cursed with an insatiable hunger that he has no control over. So one of the benefits of him being an elf, too, is that he can go a while without blood. But he still thirsts for it like any other vampire. So when Arthur does reveal to him that he is a vampire, he's kind of crushed. You know what I mean? Like, knowing that, and this comes up because he starts to question how he looks, because he doesn't have fair skin anymore. He looks almost like a dark elf now. It's almost kind of reverse, where humans get very pale, elves get very dark. Because once it's kind of like the rules for the drow, right? So generally, if you're tainted with evil, your skin becomes like black almost. So, and he starts to question that, and that's when Arthur kind of realizes I need to tell him the truth. So at this point, when he learns the truth, he's just completely like. There's so many different emotions he feels: anger, sadness, knowing that he can't just go and be with his people. At the first sight of him, he would be attacked. People would try to kill him. So his hatred for what he is so strong that when he learns that there are others out there, knowing what he's capable of, he feels that he has to eradicate the others that are like him. So this is when he begins his hunt. Obviously, Arthur tries to stop him, but he goes out there, and he knows he's a vampire, so he knows where to find them. It's this instinct. This is why you'll start to, as we go through the story, there are certain packs, certain factions that he'll run into. But his powers exceed a lot of these other vampires because of the fact that he's an elf.
Did we ever actually talk about what his powers were?
So I think I told you in some of the notes, but I didn't go into detail.
Okay.
Most of his so let's just start with basic motor functions. He's faster and stronger than all human elves. That right off the bat. But also he knows magic, and while he can't learn magic anymore, I think I told you why that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the magic he does know, in conjunction with the powers of being a vampire, just make him kind of OP against other vampires. So this starts. So in the beginning, this is going to be sheer bloodshed. Like this is a Draven that is completely no fucks given. Like he's like, I am what I am, but I'm not. I'm still going to hold some sort of goodness in me, and rid the world of these blight infested fucktards, for lack of a better word. So he's gonna go on a hunt. He goes on a hunt, and like I told you in the notes, his first encounter is, he goes out, he travels. His first encounter is just in the outskirts of Unity. I believe on the map, right as you get towards Unity, there is a forest. Mm-hmm. And this is where he finds a pack of vampires that have been hunting and killing farmers in that region, because the farmers are not close enough to Unity to benefit from the defenses of local guards and things of that nature. They're kind of out on their own. The land is richer out there, which is why they're there. But now they're facing, basically facing death, and they have very little to defend themselves. So it's an easy hunt for these vampires, but it's also easier. It makes it easier for Draven to find and kill them without himself being detected. So remember I told you in the notes, like, his ways of travel are, pretty much make him very stealthily. He can polymorph. I mean, he can change into dark mist and just travel like that. So it makes him very hard to detect. The other vampires can sense him, but they can't do some of the things he can do. So even though they know his presence, if he's traveling, for example, as a pack of mist, they're not going to know any better. So this is kind of how he tends to go around killing vampires and slaughter. And I'm telling you, girl, get graphic. This is not going to be pretty. He is going
carnage.
to. I mean, he is going to. This is going to be violent. This is going to be very violent for those of you guys who read the first book. He's going to get nasty. This is a very pissed off vampire elf. He's missed a lot of time. He feels like he didn't do anything. He feels like a failure. Now he's infected. He's a demon of the night, so to speak. So this is somebody you got to remember was in high regard back in his elvish time. And he was part of the Citadel. He was part of the arcane school. He was learning magic. I mean, he was highly regarded back in the day. And now you're basically going from someone that was top tier to like someone who nobody wants to be around, that nobody would obviously want to be around him and would kill him in first sight. So this is a very, very angry vampire, and he's pretty much taking it out on other vampires. He knows well enough not to kill people. He knows that. But this kind of rage that he's displaying is not becoming of him, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you want him to hold on, let me get that thought a little more coherent. Do you want him to, though, kill a few humans like in the beginning, because you just can't, like, he's too amped up on like the blood rage and he kills
actually
people because that'll add to his guilt.
That did cross my mind, because what's going to happen is he's going to see what he's done. It's not necessarily going to stop him, but it's going to make him go back to Arthur for more counsel, so to speak. And that's where I want to segue to where he looks for the Dragon Rider. That's where that whole conversation is going to come up, because that portion of the story is also very important. The undead Dragon Rider guarding the stronghold. So, and we might want to get a little bit into that, because we might actually get that far within the first. I don't know if we'll get that far in the first 2 or 4 chapters, but I kind of want to feed that to you so that you know ahead of time where we're headed, because that's like one of the first pivotal points of the story when he seeks out well, we use his name even though it's not his real name, but I'm temporarily calling him Logan because my name I'm suck with names. That won't be his name in the story. But when he because he knows the story of the war now, and because he was actually there, he knows that the Dragon Riders were involved, and the fact that Arthur, because the Dragon Riders were a big deal at that time,
Hmm.
they were not aligned to anyone, so to speak, but they weren't evil. So when this happened, they joined with the Guardians to fight against the Blight, and that was a big deal for everybody because you hardly ever saw them. If they ever got involved, they never got involved in any other battles because they wouldn't take sides with humans or dwarves or or elves. So the fact that Arthur spoke about the war and did not mention the Dragon Riders, because his thought process after that bloodshed is to maybe seek counsel with a Dragon Rider and their dragon because they were known to be very wise, very focused, not unhinged, unwavering. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't
Hmm.
be manipulated, and he was hoping to go to them to learn how to deal with what. So that's his motivation. So that's why he knows what he did is wrong, but he knows that he can't help himself. How about that? And
Okay.
and that's what leads him to go back to Arthur to ask him about the Dragon Riders, and that's when he learns that they were nobody's seen them. Many of them did go down in battle, and many of the dragons. And this is lore basically here. This is not something we're going to put in the story, but you remember how in the first book when we were going over things, I don't know if you remember back that far, but when I talked about the land of the dragons, there's that portion of the map where there's a big crack, and I called it the fracture. And
Hmm.
basically, it's because the dragons had their own little skirmish, little war. So the northern region of that land belongs to one pack of dragons, and the southern region belongs to another pack. That's a whole different tale, but we'll learn about that more when we get to book 3. But yeah, so his goal is to go find a dragon rider and their dragon and seek counsel, and that's when he learns about the only dragon rider that Arthur knows about is the one that's completely undead now and guards the wizard stronghold on the Dreadlands. And Draven's crazy ass is going to seek him out anyway because Draven feels that if he can find a way to free him, that'll give him some sort of redemption. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. That dragon rider is going to nearly kill his ass. But so, do the dragon
No.
packs war over ethical, moral values or religious beliefs? So, to give you a little taste of why the dragons are at war, there are some dragons who are actually very um, endearing towards humans. And there's a pack that believe every race on in the world to be beneath them, and that while they're not at war with them, they're not going to kill them. They just don't want to be involved with them. So some of the dragons that are more endearing towards people or elves or even dwarves have built relationships with them. This is how the dragon rider started, and there's certain dragons that were always reluctant about banding with certain humanoids. Let's put it that way. But it was only a very small portion of anyone in the world that had the ability to have a relationship with dragons the way. That's why their army was very small. It was very, and they were very selective about what they got involved with. But some of the dragons, and this is going to sound a little weird, but hear me out because dragons can polymorph. Some of the dragons had relationships with their riders. Relationships, not like, hey, you're my buddy. There's one particular dragon that was very much in love with this dragon rider I'm referring to in this story. Again, that's something that's down. It's coming. It's down the line. There's gonna be a lot of cool lore with that. But I usually like to share a lot of this with Adrian so she has some perspective because sometimes Adrian has this wonderful thing she does. Because I told her you can take full autonomy. You know, if you see an opportunity, go ahead and take it, and then let's run it by me. And Adrian, I don't think I've ever shunned away anything you've wanted to add to the story. That was your own flair. I don't think so.
I don't think
So
so.
I like her to know all the lore, even if it's not going to be in that particular book. Adrian's very skilled at finding opportunities to drop certain tidbits about the story or about the lore that may not necessarily be in the original story that I had intended, and she's good at that. So she pretty much when after like Adrian gets all these notes, she'll have free reign to write, and sometimes she comes back, hey, I had a great idea, and I'm like, do it, do it. So that's kind of why we get along so well when it comes to working together. Is the dragon's name Kinky? No, it's not.
Are you sure? We can make it kinky.
Well, he says that because we actually have a Kinky that comes. Comes in. His name is Kinky Dora, and he's always saying kinky stuff. It's kind of funny, actually.
Fun.
So that's kind of. I mean, it sounds like a quick gist, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of. Usually, we kind of get more into. I don't want to get into too much detail because you guys are here, and I know some of you read the book. But usually we kind of, when she starts writing, we always start going back and forth messaging each other when we start going into finer detail. But essentially, the rundown is start off, he's in the water, he washes ashore, Arthur finds him, brings him back, nurses him back to health. Arthur learns about what he is, he learns about the war. He is completely conflicted. He's lost in this world. This guy is a mess. He just woke up. Time has passed him. No one he knows may even be alive anymore. Although, because of the war, he has become a creature of the night. There's so much that happens to him in those first 5 days that the fact that he snaps, and you're right, that is a good point about him even killing some humans. That's definitely plausible.
Well, since he's first-time vampire too, he's most likely not going to know when to stop.
Right.
Especially if he's just, slaughtered 12 other vampires and he's pissed off and he's.
And this is probably a good opportunity to, if people read the first book and they remember well, this is probably something the reader will look at and say, this is probably why he has Jordan bring him blood.
Yeah, so he doesn't accidentally kill anybody else.
So he doesn't, yeah. So if you guys remember the first book, the relationship between Jordan and Draven is that whenever Jordan goes and raids or kills other pirates or whatever, he brings the blood to Draven to drink. So Draven's not actually doing the killing himself. So this would be a good way to kind of start planting that seed of how that eventually builds up. How he finds a way to get the sustenance that he needs without slaughtering people, because as an elf he's not going to kill animals and drink their blood, because elves don't do that. They don't kill animals. You know what I mean? That's, at least my elves don't. They respect life, so they only kill when they have to or in defense. All right, what do you want to go into more detail about that you feel you need?
Do you want him?
You are one awesome
so
motherfucker.
after Arthur tells him everything, and he has his moment of realizing what's going on, do you want him to also maybe have a moment where he's like,
just wanted to say hi.
Fuck this, I'm just gonna kill myself, and Arthur has to kind of like stop him, and then that's when Draven has the, you know what, you're right, I do have a purpose. I'm not gonna kill myself yet. I'm gonna go fuck everybody else up first.
Yeah. Because I did tell you that his initial motivation.
He's crushed, and
that's right. No, that's right. Because,
okay,
like I said in the notes, his motivation is to kill every vampire and then kill himself. That's basically what his initial decision is. So the idea of him wanting to off himself is absolutely plausible.
If we do that first, and then Arthur can be like, oh, I talked you out of it. And he can be like, fuck, no, you didn't. I'm just going to go take everybody down with me.
Yeah,
I'm going to die.
Yeah, I think the question is, how does Arthur talk him out of it? That's going to be the challenge that we have to figure out. So once Draven knows of everything, once he learns about the war, learns about what he's become, yeah, yeah, I would definitely see him wanting to off himself. Because initially there's no purpose there. You know what I mean? He's not going to realize that. But I think what Arthur can tell him is that there is still a purpose, because the fact that dwarves and elves and humans have managed to not only fend off one of the greatest of the threats they face, but to actually live in harmony together, that anything's possible, including a cure, and that he should try, if nothing else, at least try to seek out help, you know? And I could see Draven thinking about his brethren and thinking that might be his only chance, because they wouldn't, a human, they would probably just be like, yeah, no, you're dead. You're a vampire, get out of here. But another elf, they would actually probably sympathize with that more. But before Draven does that, yeah, he wants to go and kill some vampires. So he's still not 100% decided if that's the route he wants to take. We could go that route, and he could still be thinking about killing himself when the deed is done. So ultimately, we can set it up so that he goes on his journey to rid the world of vampires, but he hasn't decided yet whether he's going to reach out to his brethren or just leave the world. But Arthur's given him enough to think about that he doesn't kill himself right away. I think that's fair.
Yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense. I just want to make sure we get him on the mentally fucked up level that he's going to be at.
We really gotta hammer that home. Yeah.
We are extremely unstable.
Yeah, that's okay though. That's what's gonna make the story good.
Oh, you know what's going to be an awesome scene?
What?
Especially if we're doing the narration tidbits.
Yep.
He's going to be, killing things, and then we can go into a narration where he's like covered in blood and he's stumbling through the forest and he comes up. Ooh, we should do his first killing of a human from the present tense narrative.
Yeah. Yeah, it's believe me, I want it to be like graphic, like he kills a vampire and splits him in half, kind of shit, like crazy brutal. Hold on. My kids are trying to catch the cat. Where did he? I didn't even see him. Hold on 1 second. He ran out. You better find him. Oh boy. You know what it is? I have a dog and we have a cat. They're both young and they don't necessarily get along yet. Like the dog wants to play with him and he doesn't, like, he wants to get to know her first. So like if she doesn't get into a playful mood, he'll just look at her and kind of meow and try to touch her, like paw at her. But the minute she wants to play, he's like hissing at her and like, get away from me. The problem is that my girl, Raven, is about 80 pounds.
Oh, boy. She's a big girl.
She's an Alaskan Malamute.
Oh, I didn't know you had a Malamute. I have a part Malamute.
Yeah. We got her earlier this year, and she's already grown to 80 pounds.
Oh, yeah. They get big.
Oh, yeah. Big girl. And he is a kitten, so he's about 5 pounds soaking wet.
Oh, God.
He's tiny. So, yeah. Anyway, I think they have it under control. All right. So, keep it down. All right, keep it down. Find the cat and go to bed. So when he gets to the outskirts of Unity, he's basically going to run into the vampires feeding, and that's when he's going to take his moment to strike. And I want him to use his magic while he kills them. So like while he's stabbing or... All right, so very important detail. Killing vampires. So...
Hearts, heads...
decapitation. Silver sword through the heart. No wooden stakes. We're going Witcher style on this shit.
Oh, not Buffy style?
Yeah, no. We're going Witcher style on this. Silver swords in the heart. Fire. But for Draven, it's a little different. as you know, I put in the notes. Oh, and anything divine, any kind of divinity. It's like holy stuff, obviously. But not like crosses and shit. You know, I'm talking about like...
Well, yeah, you're this world divine stuff.
Yeah, so like kind of like what I
Elements
talked
stuff.
about when he encounters that one person and then the shield
yep.
moment, that kind of stuff. So some people in the chat are like, what's he talking about?
You don't get to know yet.
No, that's a very important and super... That is a big revelation that
That's a huge revelation.
Yeah, that some people are going to drop. They're going to be like, if you read the first book, when you get to that part of this book and you realize what we're talking about, your shit is going to go back up your ass. That's how crazy it's going to be. Like, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I have my headset on. They can't hear you.
I know.
Night, buddy.
What is going on over there?
We're having a meeting about my book.
We're having a party.
Yes, we are. We are having a party. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, is it only sort through hearts, or can you like yank hearts out and crush them too? Or is it just silver sword through hearts?
I would think that if you could yank their heart out, then they would die. But I don't know if too many people are going to get that opportunity. But Draven would. So if you're thinking about that,
that's the only reason I was
Okay,
thinking
yeah.
of it. He's gonna like punch somebody.
Oh no! Do
Heart out
this. Have him grab one of the vampires. Not only grab his heart, but then he emits like a fireball in his hand that burns the heart.
Oh,
That is awesome. Yes. See, this is what happens when we start talking. All the juices start flowing, and we get. Yeah, I like that.
I miss these stories.
I know. This is gonna be fun.
Makes
We're gonna have so much
crispy
fun
critter.
doing this. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely got to be a rip the heart and burn it kill, right? Oh, hi, kitty.
Oh, he is tiny.
Yeah, I told you. He's tiny, tiny, tiny.
What?
Mr. Shadow. Shadow and Raven.
I have a Xena.
Oh, I like that.
She's a destroyer of leaves and butterflies.
And everything else in the house if she doesn't get that energy out.
Actually, she's lazy.
Really? Oh, that's right. 'Cause you said she's part Malamute, right? What's
Yeah,
her
I
other
don't know
part?
what else she's mixed with. So, but she is lazy, and she's an old lady dog. She will whine at me at 8 o'clock at night to go to bed.
Yeah.
She's obnoxious.
Rob, would you do a spin-off like the dragon packs in a graphic novel like Stephen King's Dark Tower? It depends. You know, like I do have so much lore written with the dragons in my world that I could probably do it, but I kind of want to focus on this first. Let's see how things are, like, because, I mean, I don't know when I'll be done with this whole saga. I intend on finishing it, and I don't know how old I'll be when it happens. You know, because this is book 2, and this is like, what, 2 years later?
Well, yeah, but there was a lot of stuff that
But there was a
happened
lot of stuff in
in
between. Yeah. As long as I would, but I gotta, and I hate to put you on the spot. I'll only continue doing them if Adrian's available to help.
Well, shit, man. Like,
Yeah, sorry, I can't go to nobody else. She knows. She
that's
knows.
true,
this-
because I did tell you if you wanted to find another writer instead of waiting on
and
me.
I was like, absolutely not. I was like, no way, because she knows a lot of the lore and the story already. She, even though it's only been one book, I've in that first book I fed her a lot of information, just so she knew what kind of world it was, so she could kind of embrace it and get into it, So yeah, there's no way I could bring somebody. You would be able to tell too. They wouldn't structure it the same way as you do. It would be completely different because everybody has a different style. All right, so we got epic vampire kills. We have important dialogue regarding the history. We have a broken character right out in the outset.
Oh, so Draven's magic, like his magic before he was hit by the blight, because that's the same magic he has now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so what, like, is there a? Because we never got into the magic system at all, really, in the first book, because none of the characters use.
No, he's going to be the first one to use magic in this series.
Okay, so
all right.
what is his?
So do you remember? I think I mentioned to you in the first one, he can teleport. That doesn't come till later, though.
I didn't know he could do that.
That's how he was getting around. We did speak about it. We just never put it in the book.
We probably did. I just
Yeah.
tucked it away somewhere.
But that's not something he's going to have right away in this story. But because it's not something he can just do on a whim.
Well, he gets visions too, right? No. Yes.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he can
Okay.
see the future, but again, not something he's gonna be able to do right away. In fact, he won't trigger that ability in him. Won't trigger. He's always been able to do it. Now that he is what he is, and he's been away so long, for lack of a better term, there's certain things that are gonna come back to him.
Okay. So they'll trigger later.
That'll trigger when he meets Jorn for the first time.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's going to be another big revelation there for you guys, but we're not going to get into that here. But yes, Jorn will be in the story. I don't know how young he's going to be because I haven't decided at what point in the story he's going to run into Jorn. I do know how he's going to meet Jorn, but I'm not going to say that person's name either. So, yeah, that's a very important character in this story.
Well, but didn't...
Or did we...
We did.
Yes.
It's in the first one.
Yeah,
but
I'm going to have to go back. But
like
I can't remember. Was it... He almost killed him, right?
I think so.
That's what it was. You're right. So we're going to have to... I'm going to have to scrap that.
Because I just read this last week. So.
Yeah, I haven't read it in a couple of months, but God, you would think I've read it like 50 times. I would know by heart by now. But I guess
no.
The hot dogs are still in the sink.
Okay, great. Thank you. You know what it is? I think because I read it so much, I just brain dumped a lot of it. Because after like the 12th or 13th read, I was done. I was like, I'm tired of this shit.
What?
Like,
No, you gotta get like 50 reads in, and then you can be...
Well, I did. I still read it a lot after that. But I'm just saying, after like the first 10 times, I was like, God damn it. I can't read that. I know it sounds horrible. You would think, oh, I could read it forever. Like, no, I'm being real with you.
No, you can't.
I love the fact that people love it, and I do think in my heart of hearts that it's a solid story. That doesn't mean I can read it 50 times without getting tired of it.
Well, not when you've worked with it for so long.
That too.
You need a break.
Oh my God, yes. Yep. So, okay, so that's fine though. That we'll fix that, no problem. We can still have that happen. It can be after the fact, and he can be like, "Oh, this guy."
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't like change that in book 2 and have someone read book 1 and be like, "Wait."
Yeah, good point. Good. Yeah, absolutely. No, we don't want
that stuff drives me crazy when I read series and stuff changes, and you're like, "Damn it."
Yeah, no, we're not. Yeah, I don't want to change that. So, where are we at now? Now, how much material do you think you have? Because I know you're doing 10K for the first run. So
I easily have 10K.
Yeah?
I probably have almost 20.
Okay. All right. And then of course we'll have meetings. We'll go over stuff because I know the questions will arise.
Oh,
or I might come back and say, hey, because you know that I know I let you run freely with the more detailed dialogue. I kind of give you a gist, but every now and then there's certain things I want said specifically, like my favorite line from the first book when Frostbeard killed Jane and told Morrigan to have a drink on him. That was brutal.
Still,
yeah, that was brutal. I love that. I love good villains. He's a good villain, especially
he is a good villain.
When we get into him more in the future.
My poor goblins.
All right, so are you good with what you got? Do you want to get into anything else?
I think I'm good. I mean, you know me. I'll start writing next week, and I'll send you like a barrage of questions.
Of course, that's. I don't expect anything less. All right, so guys, if you have anything you want to ask, now's the time. And also, I know a lot of you guys, and I'll say this on the Nation too, because I know not everybody's here. I know that, you guys most of you guys, if it's not entertainment talk, it's the real dedicated that tend to show up, or the ones who read the book. So I know there's a lot of you guys who have also had inspired to write. If you ever need help with structure, you ever need help, reach out to Adrian. She's on Upwork. She's just not now. Okay, not now. She's working on my book, but when we're done, you can reach out to her.
What? I'm ghostwriting like 4 books right now. It's fine. Just add another one. It's okay. I don't need to be sane.
So
it's okay.
This is a lot to process. Yeah, it's believe me, this one is a little bit tougher because I have so many different things I want happen, but some of it has to go. So, but all my ideas are stolen, and I suck at it. I've had interest, but all my ideas are stolen, and I suck at it. I don't understand what you mean. Everyone,
Not everyone contact me at once. Oh my god! Please don't do that.
That'd be funny though.
That's just mean. I'm gonna wake up tomorrow morning and have like 20 invites to jobs.
There you go. That'd be great though. No, just wait till after we're done, guys. Then you can reach out to her. So, no, that's not true. She's good at multitasking. She's very good at multi. Is the book going to be longer or shorter than the first book?
Longer. You said
I think it's gonna be longer. There's a lot of meat going into this. A lot of questions from the first book are going to be answered. And what I like about that is when I look at this story and how I have it going, a lot of those answers are going to happen organically. It's not going to be like, okay, remember this? Well, that's the answer to this. If you remember the first book, when you read this one, you're going to be like, oh, that makes sense. It's very organic in that sense. So what is the most important thing in becoming a good editor for writing? So that's a question for you.
I'm typing.
You can answer. They can hear you.
Oh, I did. Oh, I know, but you were talking.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah, because I run into editors all the time, and I have an issue with editors who don't. You're supposed to stay objective, and you don't want to lose the writer's voice. Like, that's the main part of the story, is letting the writer's voice. And making sure there are no plot holes. Please, for the love of God, if you are an editor, do not let plot holes slip by. That is the most obnoxious thing ever to find.
Yeah.
Just don't do that. Grammar stuff and spelling stuff, that's piddly stuff. Content, consistency, voice. I think that's my big 3 when I edit.
Yeah, and I have no input on that because I have no experience, but what I can say is, I personally put the first book through our editing regimen. Because you edited it, then I took it to a second editor and a third one. And but that's but come on, don't do that. You all did a great job.
I know. You have to have multiple people look at it, because if only one person looks at it,
she always gives me a hard time about it. She did that the first time too. I said, okay, well, thanks. I'm gonna have another. She's like, what? But she always gives me a hard time about that. But
I didn't mind. I minded how certain someone, it was just, there was just an issue, and it bothered me for your sake.
I know.
I don't care. My writing gets torn apart all the time. I'm used to it. That's fine.
I don't understand how, but.
Oh, you'd be surprised. You know how much I've learned in the last 3 years?
Oh, I'm sure. I'm going to look forward to it. Because I know it's going to come out on paper. So, when it comes to book series, is the first book usually the hardest to write, in your opinion?
No. Not for me.
Yeah. Well, for me, it was only because it was my first one. But, it was obviously made a lot easier with Adrian. So, because if I tried to write this on my own, I would have failed miserably.
No, you would have been fine. You just would have hired me as an editor, and I would have edited for you and made you cry.
No. I know, like, oh my God, I can't take it.
There's so much red.
Yeah, I know. I have an idea about a prehistoric caveman and a Utaharter going from prehistoric times to medieval times to Chinese mythology to Aztec mythology. Man, that sounds heavy.
What?
Yeah. He basically has a time period story idea.
Oh, man.
That goes from prehistoric times all the way up to Aztec mythology.
It is good to edit your own stuff, but you also need more people to look at your stuff. Because I've edited my own stuff 3-4 times, and then I give it to someone else, and they catch shit that I missed. Because you blind yourself to and it's stupid mistakes. It's like missed words and like sentence structures that you think sound okay until someone else reads it, and it totally doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I do always recommend the writer goes back and rereads it after an editor touches it to make sure it's still what you want. But always have multiple people edit your stuff. Always.
That's why I had 2 other editors.
That was not my issue.
I know it wasn't. I'm
You-
messing with you. I gotta mess with you back. Come on now.
I know. What? I don't give you a hard time. Everything's
know.
fine.
It would be into multiple stories, like the Lord of the Rings. Oh, you would break it down into multiple stories like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, that is what before I contacted Adrian and I went through my story, because I was originally going to try and write it myself, and when I went through everything and I was like, this is a lot of shit. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, and there's no way I'm going to be able to do it in one story, because the book of Canon, the book of Draven, and everything that comes after. The idea to come up with those books came in 2016. The original story for this was one long story where, like, for example, Kaylin opens up. The original story, Kaylin is already a full-fledged pirate running her own fleet. There was no Kaylin is a young lady going through the ropes. That never existed in my original story that I wanted to write. But when I looked through my original story, I realized that it was way, way too big. And I had to break it down and simplify it for my own sake. You know what I mean? There was no way I would have been able to try and write that story, let alone get someone to write a story that large too. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way I could do it. So I decided to marvel it and just make, individual character books, which I think right now is turning out better.
Because it's going to be perfect, because they're all going to come together at some point.
It's going to be like the Avengers.
Exactly. It's going to be amazing.
But, and I think the benefit of that is it's easier. Like when I talk to Adrian, it's easier for me to break down story by story, part by part, lore by lore, than get the whole tale and throw it at her and forget it. She'd be like, look, take your money back.
No, I do it. You just... I'd probably be slightly insane by the end of it. But
pulling your hair out like, what the hell is this?
That's normal.
But, when you consider how much lore I had set up in the story over the 20-something years that I've teetered with it, played with it, rewrote it, this, that. I mean, you got the dragon lore, okay? You got the Blight. We don't even know the main villain yet. You got these primary characters that are so... I guess for lack of a better term, larger than life, that they almost require some sort of text on their own, so you can appreciate them more when they're in the primary tale that I do want to tell. And then you have, like the Dragon Rider stuff. That like somebody was asking, would you make a spinoff of that? I could easily. I have wrote so much lore because I love dragons, so I have wrote so much lore about the dragon and their relationships with humans and their involvement in the world and how they work, how they function, their laws. When you have the guardians, right, which obviously is some sort of religious aspect, and then you got their powers and what they represent, and then you got the relationship between the elves, the dwarves, the barbarians up north. It's so much that to try and put that into one story, forget it. It'll be way too much. So,
it'd be like a 1,000-page story.
Yeah. What's the ideal length for a novel? Did somebody ask? I'll let you answer that. I don't know.
It depends on the genre. Like if I'm reading a fantasy, I expect it to be long because there's the world building. There's usually races. Like there's a bunch of stuff that I feel like needs to go into it. Because I hate when I pick up a fantasy novel and it's so super short. Romances I expect to be short because there's a formula to romance stories. Like they're all different, but they're not different.
It's funny because remember when we first started talking, I told you I wanted this to be a short story.
And I laughed.
Yeah. When I gave her all the details in it, she was like, yeah, good luck with that. She was like, this ain't going to be a short story. And it wasn't. It turned out to be like 500 pages. That's just what happens, One
of the people I work for, we always try and keep the stories between 40 and 50,000 words, and it never fails. I go over 50 all the time, and I mean it's not a big deal. The story ends where it ends, but it's funny. Like I can't, and then she had me. I don't think you could
plan for how many words. I think it's just how it happens. Like
I can kind of estimate now, since I've been doing it so long, I can kind of pace myself and figure out based on what's happening where I'm going to end up word count wise.
Yeah.
But if I know I have to stay within a certain word count, then I plan the story to be in that word count. If I have a this is the word count, then I totally just go until the story hits its natural end.
Yeah. How many books are you planning on making? It really depends on what I decide to do with certain characters. It could, in terms of individual character books, like the book of Kaylin, this is the book of Draven. This is a series that I'm doing for the characters. So it's going to be the book of, and this book of series can go anywhere between 5 to 7. That's before the main saga. That's before we get into the primary story.
We're not even to the main story.
We're not even to the main story. So you're looking at potentially anywhere between 9 and 12, which is a lot. That's what I'm saying. Like, I hope I get to finish this shit.
God, if they're 100,000 words each.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole point of making these. Well, what I intended to be short stories are turning into full-fledged novels now. So it's like,
there was no way you were going to cram Kaylin's story in 30,000 words.
No, there wasn't. And again, that comes to the inexperience. That's why I have her, because, I'm like, oh yeah, I know how this is going to go. I got all the information. No problem, man. This is going to be a nice short story. 500 pages later. And we cut stuff.
We did.
And
we cut.
We cut stuff.
I think it wound up at like 93,000 was your final.
Yeah.
Your final count.
Originally, it was like 106,000. So we cut like almost 13,000 words, which is like at least 3 or 4 chapters. No, about maybe 2 or 3 chapters.
Yeah.
And then we went back and added one.
Well, sometimes you gotta add stuff back in to make sure it works. Those are your missing scenes that you realize later. You're like, oh, fuck, I needed that.
Yeah. Rob is the next J.K. Rowling. No.
We can get you there.
I'm the first Rob. How about that?
The first Rob.
I'm the first Rob. I this is what's gonna happen with my books. I know it. I'll release them. They'll the re-release did really well. I was surprised how many books went out. It was very, very flattering to see my book on resale in Maryland. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit.
That's exciting.
That means somebody read it and it was like, cool, I'm going to resell this because it probably sucked to them. But it doesn't matter. The fact is my book actually circulated a little bit, So what's going to happen is I'll be like 60 when I'm done. I'll probably die when I'm 75, 80, and then the books will take off. It'll be one of those things where like it just happens and my kids are going to rein in all the money. And that's fine. Worse. Yeah, that's fine. That's, I'll miss out on all the money that comes later after people realize, hey, this is pretty good. Have you seen this? Hey, this is, but that's okay. My goal is to get it, just put it out there, and whatever happens, happens. I don't really care whether it becomes big time or stays small. You guys know me. You guys know I like the small time stuff. You guys, I always tell you guys, I like the fact that my channel is this small. I don't know if I could deal with remember when we had almost over 2,000 people in stream watching me earlier this year, and I was not ready for that. I was like, how the fuck do people do this? I've seen people
respond to everything and talk to everything.
I've seen people stream with 24,000 people watching them. I'm like, how? I can't do that. You know what I mean? So if it turns out one day that it just breaks out, great, that's fine. But if it doesn't, I'm cool with that. The fact that I saw like 500 copies go out in total, and it's actually selling in one store in Maryland, I'm happy with that. I really am, because I just thought it would sit in the abyss of Amazon.com and that's it, and it hasn't.
Well, most of the time, you just want your story out of your head. That's why I write my books.
Yeah,
I want them out of my head and on paper, so someone else maybe reads it and enjoys it.
Yeah, and remember, that's what I told you when we first started working together. I said I just need this out of my head. I've been messing with this for like 20 years. It's time that I just give it an opportunity And if some people read it and enjoy it, then that's fine. And some people did, and people did enjoy it, and I'm happy with that. So yeah, I do want to get all these books done. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna get, and I want them all done and leave it at that. So, are you planning on having audiobooks? That's tough because I would have to hire somebody for that, and that's very expensive.
What, you want to do it yourself? Do all the voices? You
Yeah,
be the
but
ogre and the goblins.
I can't do voices like that. You know why? I'm not consistent enough. Like to jump from one voice to another and then keep it going like that for like what, 2 or 3 hours to read the whole book?
No.
I can't do it.
couldn't
You
do
need
that.
somebody that's professional. And I looked into it and I was like, I can't afford this.
Yeah,
shit.
it's expensive.
It is.
It's hard enough to find someone to do covers. That's not gonna.
Oh my God! Don't get me started with that. I
I
mean,
have to
I
start-
was very happy with the cover I got,
Oh yeah, it looked good.
and that was very affordable. But some people out there like $3,000 to do a book cover.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted, it's very good, but come on, $3,000. I mean, this. I'm not expecting the book to go platinum and shit for lack. So I can't. I don't mind investing it in like this, what me and Adrian are doing. Because I know that's a lot of content to put in. That's a lot of work, but. And not to say that drawing a cover is not, but it doesn't compare. It doesn't take person 6 months to do or 8 months to do a cover. Like it takes me and Adrian 6 to 8 months to put this together.
How long did it take us to write the first book? That was
7 months.
It was 7 months.
7 months, yeah.
That's not bad.
7 months just
actually.
writing. That's not including all the editing and stuff that came after.
That's
So-
not bad though. For
No,
just a rough draft.
For just a rough draft. So in total, the first book took about 10 months to complete.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is, I guess, on average, right? Maybe?
I would think. Well,
Unless
shit,
you're
I don't
George R.
know.
Martin, then it takes like 7 years.
Well, then you're just. He's never gonna finish.
Yeah. Rob, if you do an audio book, I'll happily voice it for free. Well, send me a sample. Seriously, send me a sample. I would love, audiobooks are the way to go. A lot of people do that now. They pop it in their car and they listen to it. Mike wants to know what are some of your favorite science fiction books. Series.
I actually do not like sci-fi.
There you go.
I've ghostwritten sci-fi, and I've told those people, "Hey, I don't like sci-fi," and they're like, "Oh, it's fine. You'll be great." Worst 3-month projects of my life. I hate it. I don't do sci-fi. I just can't get into it. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I just can't.
Is the first book still on Amazon or no? No, it's still there. It's $2.99 for the Kindle, and I think $10.99 for the book itself, the hardcover. Yeah, it's still there. It's not going anywhere. I decided I'm not going to pursue traditional.
It's you have to be lucky. You literally just have to be lucky to get the right person to pick up your manuscript and decide to.
Yeah, and if that luck is going to happen, let them find it on Amazon, because I know this. I know from someone who's in the industry when I was trying to edit it that they do scout.
Well, they do. There's a lot of big.
They scout on Amazon for people.
Yeah, there's a lot of big name authors that started self-publishing and got picked up by agents and publishers.
Yeah, so you'd be surprised. Like people will scout. So I'll just leave it there. It's there. It's out there. And again, like I said, if I get lucky, I get lucky. If not, I don't care one way or the other. Who's your favorite author and one that influenced you as a writer, Adrian? That's a good question.
I mean, shit. I read so much. I don't have one favorite author. When I was younger, anything by Garth Nix was amazing. He wrote the Sabriel series. And then as I got older, oh shit, I can't even think of the author's name right now. I don't know. I'm really bad. I actually don't pay attention to author names. I pay attention to series and just the stories. I'm not gonna lie, I hate I hate that question. Because I never have a good answer. And then I feel bad.
It's all right. John's a nice guy. He understands.
I don't pay attention to the I do but not enough to like remember. I don't know. I just
And Mike wants to know what's your favorite genre.
fantasy, epic fantasy. Second favorite is paranormal romance because I'm a sucker for a vampire.
Big Bad Wolf wants to know, while doing a kaiju book, how long should it be, page or chapter wise? So kaiju's like giant monsters, Godzilla, stuff like that, which would fall, I think, under the realm of fantasy.
Yeah, it's like monsters and stuff. So, I mean, honestly, chapter length just depends on you as the writer and what you want. Because a lot of fantasy books will have those types of books. Though that's true, if it's more action based and thriller based and kind of cliffhangery, shorter chapters are probably better. Because you don't have the action dragged out through multiple chapters. You have like, here's a scene, bam, and then you have another scene, and there's your chapter. Page wise, I mean, I don't really do page wise. I do word count wise because pages are very hard to figure out. But I would say 80,000, 60 to 80. And chapter, I mean, that just depends on you. You want short chapters that hit you in the face. You want long chapters, like.
Yeah, I guess it depends if it's more narrative heavy versus action.
Yeah, because like I really love the Dan Brown series because those chapters are so short. But it fits the story. Like if I were to do those chapters for my fantasy novel, it would drive me crazy because my scenes aren't short enough to have a short chapter. If that makes sense.
John wants to know Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's pretty obvious.
We just spent the other night rewatching all the extended ones, and they were amazing, as always.
Rob, what is your favorite book series?
Yeah.
See, I have read. It's been a while since I read Lord of the Rings. Look, I hate to sound cliche. I really did enjoy the Harry Potter series. You know what I mean? It's not that I enjoy it more than Lord of the Rings, but it's been so long since I read the book, and my memory is more akin to the movies now. So I'm pretty sure I would probably say Lord of the Rings if I ever went back and read it again. But I don't read a lot of series because a lot of the series that are out now, well, more of the mainstream stuff, it's the underground stuff that I think I would have to read. Because, like, I can't read shit like The Hunger Games and, you know, all those tweeny book trilogies. Yeah, I can't.
All the young adult stuff.
Yeah, I can't do
the
that
Academy
shit.
books.
And the thing of it is those are the books that have this, like, our long running series. Now, that's not to say that there are not series out there that I wouldn't enjoy, but they're not as in your face as those are. You know, it's like every time a young adult series comes out, they throw that shit in your face, and it's like, you know, and then on top of that, just time. You know what I mean? I hardly have time to read. You know, I mean, I come home, especially now. I'm gonna start doing. I meant to tell you guys, I'm gonna start doing kettlebell training. So I bought myself a 25-pound kettlebell. It's time to get into shape because if I'm gonna write 12 books, I got to be alive to do it.
I mean, I started doing yoga for stress, so.
Yeah, you gotta do something. Yeah. So, Adrian, what is your overall thoughts on the canon Star Wars books under Disney?
I really don't think Disney should have bought Star Wars, but I've only ever seen the movies. I have no idea about the books because I didn't read them.
I think Star Wars is for the most part done.
As
far as I know, the original Star Wars is Star Wars, and that's it. Not to say the prequels aren't, but they're not as good. A kaiju book should be a comic, not a novel, honestly. I think you could make it a novel, but you know, I mean, the tough thing about writing a giant monster book is that, you know, the monster, and this is why I think it would probably be better as a book than it is a movie. The monster can't talk or anything, but through description, you can tell a lot. You know, whereas the movies, not so much. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know. That's how I see it. Mike wants to know what your thoughts are on Dune. That's sci-fi though, isn't it?
I never read Dune.
Yeah.
It's actually on my list because so many people have told me that I need to read it that I've just kind of given in and added to my list, but I currently have 50 unread books in my bedroom, so it's on like the bottom of the list.
Mike's asking because he thinks that this Dune movie coming up is going to be the best thing since The Return of Jesus.
I mean, it sounds pretty promising. Like, I will watch sci-fi, but for some reason, I can't get into sci-fi books, and I don't know why. Sorry, my husband just walked by and said, because they suck.
Because they suck. Oh, man. I think, well, the reason, all right, because I have been telling Mike that the original Dune movie was a complete dud, and that every time they've tried, because the thing, I haven't read Dune, but from what everybody tells me, the story is very complex, and that's one of the reasons why it hasn't successfully transferred over to, like, they tried the movie back in the 80s, that failed. They tried to do a series. They tried to do 2 series, and they both failed. So Mike's been talking it up on some of our other streams, and I keep telling him, let's see first, because this movie does not have a history of doing well. I'm like, so we'll see. We'll see if it turns out okay.
Some books just don't translate well.
Yeah, I think Dune's one of them. It just doesn't work out, but we'll see. It does look good, but a lot of movies look good and still suck. So, oh yes, Dune, Spice Giant, Sandworms, and Dave Bautista. Yep. Adrian, what are your thoughts on Stephen King books?
Oh, I love me some Stephen King. I haven't read a lot, but the ones I do read, man, they scare the shit out of me, which is great. Like, I love it. I love it when a book scares me so much that I don't want to like go to sleep. But I will say the best scary book I ever read was called The Haunting of Elizabeth Cray. It is technically a young adult novel, but man, there's a monster in that book that scares the shit out of me now. If you look over your shoulder 3 times because you think it's following you, like after the 3rd time, it leaps out of the dark and just like kills you. But it won't attack you until you like look over your shoulder 3 times. For 6 months after that, I refused to look behind me for anything.
Oh my God.
But yeah.
And the thing of it is, a lot of the guys here love scary stuff. I think scary books are probably more effective than the movies.
Oh, they are, because you're reading it and you're like curled up in your bed and the lights are off and all you guys like your little lamp and you're reading them, like you hear a noise and you're like, fuck, what was that? Not
only that, but your imagination allows you to visualize it the way you want to.
Oh, yeah,
where with a movie you can't do that.
Yeah, books become movies in my head. Completely become movies. Because that's how I see my books.
Your favorite Stephen King book?
Favorite? Oh. Salem's Lot. That one scared me. I mean, The Shining, like the book was super scary, but Salem's Lot, that one gave me nightmares.
Wow. That's incredible.
Everything gives me nightmares, though. So.
Adrian, have you ever read The Silmarillion? I
have not, and I have not heard of a book called Unwind either. But I'm going to look that up now, because now I'm curious.
So this is, I think, the first time these guys have actually interacted with you like this, because the last time you were on my stream, you were just in chat, I think.
Yeah, I watched and I typed stuff. I was, the ghost.
Ghost, there you go.
The ghost in the chat.
No, this is good. All right. Well, we're going to, Adrian, have you ever read, I thought the questions were over, but here they go. Adrian, have you ever read the Jurassic Park novels, and what are your thoughts?
Did not read the novels, but I own all the movies, and they are glorious.
Which Stephen King movie did the best job of adapting the book?
Well, the Shining movie sucked. I mean, let's be real. Like, that was awful. Oh yeah, there's a mini series though of The Shining that we actually found in a hotel movie library when we were in Colorado, and we watched it, and that was good.
In a hotel?
Yeah, we were vacationing in Colorado, and we went to like the front office to get a thing, and we saw the Shining series, and we were like, what? And it's, I think, like 6 or 8 episodes. It was terrifying.
So what was the scariest book you ever read?
The Haunting of Elizabeth Cray.
I'm gonna have to look that up, because I I used to love scary movies, but they're not scary anymore. But if there's a scary book, I think I might want to dive into that.
Yeah, scary movies don't. We watched It and It Chapter 2, and neither one scared me, which I thought was weird. But then I go on YouTube and I watch short, scary clips of people catching things in their houses, and those scare me. So,
Oh, some of the guys here will tell you that's this green screen.
there,
We actually watch some scary videos every now and then, and some of them are like not scary videos, but they're like paranormal, uh,
yeah.
like videos where people witness or record paranormal activity, and some of them were really good. We saw this one where there was a Japanese cab driver, and while he's driving, an apparition manifests in the back seat, and it is so clear as day. Myself and everyone in chat freaked out. It was insane. Like, oh my god. Have you ever heard of Elizabeth Bathory?
Yes, yes, I have.
I don't know who that is.
You don't know who that is?
No.
Isn't she the chick that was the people claimed she was a vampire because she would kidnap virgin women from the village and she would bleed them dry and bathe in their blood to keep herself young?
Oh, I think I've heard a Reddit story about that.
I believe that's Bathory, right? Am I wrong? I think I'm right. I hope I'm right. I'm pretty sure that's who it is.
Has Adrian ever read The Watchmen?
I have not.
I don't know. You're not really into like the comic stuff, are you? Or
I mean, I'll read graphic novels and stuff, but I don't really do a lot of comics, no. But I am getting more into graphic novels, just like I've been slowly getting more into anime.
oh, that's cool. Everybody here loves anime, so
Oh, I Sword Art Online is still my favorite series. I've yet to find another series that replaces that, but
yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Sword Art. Even my old buddy from New York was telling me to check it out, and I still haven't.
cried.
Really?
Yes, there are multiple episodes where I was literally like wiping my eyes, like this is stupid.
Wow, I gotta check it out. He's been telling me for years to watch it, and I haven't.
It's good.
Yeah, Adrian, what anime are you currently watching right now or reading?
Oh.
I think she's reading them.
I haven't started reading any yet. I want to. What am I watching right now? So my problem is I went on Crunchyroll and I literally just added like 50 to my watch list because it's what I do. I need to finish Attack on Titan because I started that one. I need to finish Psycho Pass. I started Angel of Death, so I'm watching that one right now. I'm supposed to be watching. Oh no, I did. I got like 5 episodes into the 7 Deadly Sins.
I love Seven Deadly Sins.
My husband does too, so I need to finish that one.
Yeah, that is one anime that I watched recently that I really enjoy.
Oh, I know. There's so many. I start so many, and then I'm like, shit. I have to finish these. There's too many that sound really good, so then I like bounce around. Oh, there's too many. There's too many.
The scariest story I ever read is a creepypasta named Anasi Goatman. Spooky shit. Yeah. Have you ever read any creepypastas?
I've read a couple, but I don't like to because some of them sound like too realistic, and then I freak myself out.
That is true.
I have a very active imagination, so I have to be really careful sometimes what I do. I'm also a very vivid dreamer, so...
Oh, so yeah, you probably get nightmares and stuff.
Oh, I had a dream the other night. There was some killer monstrosity vampire literally in our house, and I woke up in a panic, and we can see straight down our hallway through the rest of our house. I was just laying in bed for the next hour, just staring down the hallway.
Oh my god.
And then I fell back asleep, and then I had a whole dream of a new Shifter book, and I woke up, and I wrote the plot down for the entire story.
I actually had a creepy dream Actually, it was so bad I couldn't sleep throughout the night, and I actually ended up calling out of work. But in the dream, there was a pack of 4 vampires that consumed my parents right in front of me.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh my god, it freaked me out. It was so scary. I woke up and my wife's like, "What are you okay?" I'm like, "I just had a horrible dream, and I couldn't sleep. I had a rough week of sleeping this week. I passed out at work the other day, and so my coworker, I came in today. My coworker was like, "Hey man, I was gonna say goodbye to you yesterday, but you were knocked out, so I figured, hey, I'll just catch you in the morning." I was like, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I've never passed out at work like that. You know, and I was out like a light. Like I didn't hear a goddamn thing happening. Thankfully, it was towards the end of the day. There was nobody trying to reach me.
It wasn't like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, if it's 10 o'clock in the morning, somebody would have figured it out. It was more like around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Day's over at that point, right? It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. I got all my work done. All right. So, well, guys, if you have any other questions for Adrian, now's the time because I'm going to let her get back to her familia and or to work, whatever she's doing for the night.
To my
And,
wiki do.
That's right. So, all right, I'm excited to get started on this. I think this is going to be a good one, and I'm happy to have you back on board.
It's gonna be a party.
It is going to be a party.
With lots of dead things.
Yes, a very violent party. So, but yeah. So just you know, keep me posted on how things are progressing, and obviously we'll be in contact. And obviously, if anything else comes up that I want to add or anything like that, I'll reach out to you, and you do the same.
Oh, I will. Don't you worry.
All right, guys. Everybody, say goodbye to Adrian.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks. This was fun. So we definitely got to do this again.
Of course. Anytime.
All right. Awesome. All right, girl. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I know it was a little different. I know it's not for everybody. I know people are like, oh, book? Oh, I'm not going, but it's all good. But that was fun. That was fun. We're definitely going to do that again. Yeah, she's very knowledgeable. She's been doing that kind of work for a long time. I mean, she was already involved in doing it for a little bit when I first hired her. So, but she's really good at what she does. If you guys have read the book, you can see her writing style is phenomenal. It very much complements the kind of story I want to tell. She does a great job of breaking it down scene by scene, structuring it, stuff like that. So yeah, she's great. She's awesome. And as you can see, she's got a great personality, just an overall good person to work with. You know, she's not critical in a bad way. Like when she criticizes me, she does it very constructively, very respectfully. And I've learned a lot working with her, so I'm happy that she's going to be doing my second book as well. I need to like make a lot of money so I can just sign her to a long-term contract. You know what I mean? Because I can't get to like the fourth or fifth book and not have her help me write it. She's definitely great. You're lucky to have her. You're lucky to hire her for your book. Yeah, I am. I agree with that. How hard is it to sell a story to a company that owns the property rights to a character? You see, that's the other thing I think that turned me off about getting my story published is that when a publisher, when they pick up your story, they own the rights to it, and I didn't like that. I don't want to give creative rights of my work to anybody. So I think that's why I just like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. It's not that important to me anyway. You know what I mean? It's not like I'm trying to do this as a career. You know, I have a career. I'm just doing this as, I mean, I guess you could say more than a hobby, because if it was just a hobby, I'd just write it on my own and whatever. But I just want to see it. I just want to see it out there. That's all. That's really what it is. Will I make comics down the line? Oh, I don't think so, dude. With this story alone, I think that's going to take up whatever free time I have to write anything. Yeah. I think they would too. They literally write back a dismissive letter saying no solicitation and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what you're talking about. I missed that. I'm a core member of E.T.N. Awesome. That was neat to see the brainstorming for the next book. Yeah, it's a lot of fun when it'll get better too. As we get deeper and deeper into the book, it'll get better. Obviously, we're not going to do it all the time. I don't want to ruin the book for people. So we might, like the next time, like this first portion might turn into like 2 or 3 chapters. Then we might skip chapter 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then that way you guys don't know exactly what's going on. You know what I mean? You'll have to still read the book to find out. How hard is it still to coming down on property rights? That I don't know. How we all doing tonight? Everybody just got back from watching the high school football game and saw this notification. E.T.N notification is definitely the best notifications. Yeah, we spent most of the stream. I was with my co-writer, and we were going over my second book. We were talking about the first few chapters, first opening story elements, stuff like that. Kind of giving people a first-hand look at how we work, me and her, how we do things. Obviously, I didn't display notes, but she has notes that I've given her. They're not as good as my first. The first time I gave her notes for the first book. It was definitely more. This story is going to be a little bit more complicated because I have so many different directions I can go in, and I've had a hard time deciding what to do. I've had a hard time deciding which direction I want to go. So this is why Adrian knows all these directions for the most part. And as we start putting the story together, the decision on where to go will be more and more clear. So, but it's going to start off pretty sloppy. Not the book itself. The process is going to, and I told her that earlier today. I was like, this is not going to be as streamlined as my first one because I have so many different things I want to do. And I'm having a hard time deciding. But I think the best thing to do is just throw it at her, let her know what it is I want to do, what I'm thinking about. Let's get the ball rolling. And as the ball rolls, we'll decide, we'll be able to see more clear and clear which direction we want to go in, or I want to go in, and that she can convert my ideas and my story. Yeah, I want to get my comic published, but I don't want my story destroyed. Yeah. For writing something for a licensed property, it's super hard. They don't give you the time of day to hear you out. Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough industry to crack, irregardless. I'm sure there's a lot of great stories out there that never get picked up. Sometimes it's timing. This is something I learned from the other lady I worked with who was helping me prepare to pitch my book. And she said a lot of times it's all about timing. I think the other problem with my story too, it's very traditional in terms, and it's also, there's a lot of, and I don't do this on purpose, it's just how the story turned out, but there's obviously a lot of religious things, not necessarily directly like Christianity and stuff, but when you look at like the divinity of the guardians and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff, that's not really mainstream anymore, that kind of stuff. In fact, most publishers probably don't want that. There's a lot of publishers that are looking for, very trendy stuff now, gay, trans, female-led heroes, which obviously my first book is, I don't want to say it's female lead, it's 2 leads. One is a man, one is a female. But obviously Kaylin is the centerpiece of the story. But the way it's written, there's not, I don't think it's as mainstream. So, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. This is a story I started writing when I was in my late teens, early 20s. So, well, that's all right. Some of you guys have read it, and I appreciate that. And, the best thing you can do is just tell people about it or share it. You don't have to, try and convince people to buy it. I'm not worried about that. But just, if you own the book and you like it and you think it's good, share it with somebody. Let them borrow it. Say, hey, check this story out. It's pretty good. That's how these things start. You guys, some of you guys could be the very reason why the story might explode down the road. You know what I mean? But we'll definitely do more of it. And when it's ready, I'll probably take a little bit more of an aggressive approach to promoting it this time. You know, not too aggressive. You know, I don't want to, you know, I'm not going to break the bank because, like I said, it's not important to me to have it. Like, I'm not trying to pursue a writing career. So it's just important to me that it's out there. Whether or not it ever goes anywhere, that's up to God. So, oh, cool. She sent me the link to that book. I'm going to have to check that out. The Haunting of Elizabeth Cray. All right, cool. I might check that book out. Be super aggressive, yeah. All right, so that portion of the stream did go longer, but we were kind of having fun, and you guys were asking questions, which is great. And I'm glad you guys engaged with her the way you did, because she's super awesome, and she's definitely someone to consider if you really want to try getting your book done or your comic, you know. And she does expertise in fantasy, I would say, but I would still go to her even for some sort of guidance. She is very fair pricing. She's not gonna break your bank. That's the other thing that's good about her, and she'll work with you. You know, it's not like she'll ask you. You know, she'll do payments for certain milestones, which is also good because it makes it flexible. You know, it's not like you have to drop so much money up front. You know, depending on the length of your book and how much content you're going to be putting in, she's really good at breaking it down into milestones, and then she'll only charge you when the milestone is completed. And then at that point, even what she charges, to me, in my opinion, is very fair considering the kind of work she does. Get Lenny to advertise it. He might scare people away. Whew. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to yawn. Like I said, it's been a long week, and I have struggled with sleep this week, unfortunately. But tomorrow will be a regular stream. We'll do it up like we normally do. We have nukes to check out, so that'll be a lot of fun. Oh. What's this messaging me? Lenny is dormant. He's changing his energy so he can release it to the world once he awakens. Lenny's been canceled without actually being canceled. He's too real for this world. This world couldn't handle Lenny. Yeah, well, I'll bring him back once in a while. So, Rob, let's exchange emails so you can send. You read the book, didn't you, Lee? Lee, did you? I think I remember sending you the book. Did you ever get it? Because I know you don't live in the States. You live in Canada, right? If I remember well. He's way too busy pimping. Yeah. Thoughts on Chris Pratt portraying as Mario? Yeah, I heard about him being in the Super Mario Brothers movie, and apparently the woke ones are very upset about it. They hate Chris Pratt. Did you guys hear that the Guardians of the Galaxy series is done? I think after the third movie. I saw that on Screen Rant. Came out a day ago, but apparently Disney's not going to do anymore. But I don't know if they're not going to do any more after the third one or if they're not going to do any more at all. But let me see if I can find it. Let me see. Let me see, where is it? The ending of Guardians of the Galaxy. No, that's wrong. Hold on, let me write this in. What's going on, Nuts? Here it is. Marvel ends Guardians of the Galaxy series. After the Galaxy, Marvel officially ends the popular Guardians of the Galaxy series just before the third film. Yeah, so there's no third film. Marvel has officially ended Guardians of the Galaxy series, the popular franchise, perhaps best known for the 2 films released in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with a third currently in pre-production, relaunched with writer Al Ewing at the helm in 2019. Now in Guardians of the Galaxy number 18, written by Ewing with a... In the current run of... Oh, wait. Is this the comic? See, this is why these fucking titles are so... Hold on. Oh, no. Wait. Marvel figure, the popular franchise, perhaps no. Okay, hold on. Okay, never mind. It was the fucking comic. Of course, they don't put that in the title because, of course, they make you click the fucking story, and I got busted. So never mind. You were a minute behind stream. Oh, okay. Never mind. Yeah, clickbait, exactly. Oh my god, is it because of COVID they're doing that,
You are one
Jonathan?
awesome motherfucker. Akno Goji tipped $5. Did you hear that Jack Black gonna be Bowser? That's hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know that about Jack Black, but he would actually be a very good Bowser. Lee, so my email is... Oh, let me put it in chat. I thought you had it, because I've emailed you before. I think you've won prize... No. I think it was to send my book to you at the time. I do have a new email, but... Yeah, the occupancy for the hotel is really low. Oh, man, that sucks. Imagine if the... Dicka estate gives the rights to Spider-Man to DC. Shin, Zilla, Batman vs. Spider-Man, $3 billion in the box office. It would definitely do good at the box office. I don't know, $3 billion is quite a bit, but it would definitely be up there. I don't disagree with that. Send through PS Network if you want. Well, I just put my email in chat, so it's right there. Yeah, Lee, just send me a sample. You know, I don't know what kind of mic you got, but obviously, you know, we want it to sound good. We want no air in the background type deal. You know what I mean? So, but send me a sample. And if you're willing to do it and it sounds good, then, you know, we'll do it. Because like I said, I think you got a copy of the book, no? Spider-Man vs. Batman gonna jumpstart the second Renaissance. It won't shin if the ticker state wins. They have the rights. Rob, when you going to get me and Jonathan on? Maybe tomorrow. I don't have anything specifically planned for the stream, so we can do it tomorrow if you want. If John's around, you know, because you're on call, John, right? So you might have to dip if they call you during the stream. But if you want to chill tomorrow, you guys, that's fine. But I want to buy it so I can support you. I thought you got a copy. I thought I sent it. Maybe it was somebody else. Yeah, it's on Amazon. You know what I mean? I'll put the link here in case anybody who hasn't gotten it wants to pick it up. If you have Kindle, it's actually free on Kindle. So it's not even $2.99. It's free on Kindle. And if you have Kindle. If you don't have Kindle, it's $2.99 for the digital copy. And then the paperback is $11.49. So, and there's the link. You can get it on Amazon. I still don't understand why they hate Chris Pratt. It's like, because he's religious. That's why they hate him. He's religious. He goes to church. He praises God, stuff like that. And the people on the other side don't like that shit. They're not, you know, it's just how people are these days. Everybody's got hate in their heart, unfortunately. But all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up because I have not had dinner yet and I am hungry. So we'll do it up tomorrow. Yeah, John and Nuts, if you guys are around, we'll have a little, we'll bring some people in, just chit chat about entertainment in general, and stuff like that. I'm gonna get paperback.
You are one awesome motherfucker.
All right, cool. Sounds good. Who's this?
I am Joe Biden tipped $5. Hello, I am Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden. Sorry I haven't been on lately. I always forget how spell E.T.N. so I can find your channel. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you something. Corn Pop is a bad dude. I think anyway, I don't know.
Okay, Joe.
Come on, man.
All right, guys. I'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same place. We're gonna have John and Nuts on, so that should be a lot of fun. And then we'll talk it up. We got a lot of entertainment to talk about, I'm sure, because I haven't been caught up this week on what's going on. So, you guys have a good rest of the night. Thanks for coming through. I know that it's not always what you guys were expecting, but anytime you guys are willing to sit down and hear me talk about my project regarding the book, I do appreciate it. And the link to the book is in chat if you scroll up a little bit. So for those of you who haven't picked it up, if you're interested, you want to check it out. We will be doing more streams like this with Adrian. She had a lot of fun. She was telling me in the message. And I like to kind of help her. If there's anyone here who ever considers hiring her, then I'll be very happy because she's a great worker. She's a great person to have in your corner if you're kind of diving into this for the first time. She's very knowledgeable. She's very good at what she does. So definitely support her as well. So, all right, guys, have a good night. I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.